on QRZ. Thank you very much for your call. I was beginning to wonder whether there was anybody out there. I think I'm speaking to John in Belgium. A nice signal. I'll give you a signal report on my next over. Operator name here is Jeremy. How copy? Oscar November 8, Echo India in Belgium. This is ZL3ET. Over.
Yeah, Roger, very good day to you, Jeremy, and 100% on the call sign, 100% on the name, ZL3ET, ON80I. You're 5 and 8 with me, and nice to hear you from a cold Belgium, where it's not raining, and it appears to be going to be some sort of a reasonable day. So just to say to you, just start, by the way, you're coming in great. The conversation. I've been through Hamilton. Over.
Oh, Roger. Yeah. I live on the outskirts of Hamilton, on the northwestern side of Hamilton. But great to hear that you've been here. You'll see some lovely photos of Hamilton. Perhaps some of which you may remember. You'll see them on my QRZ page. I think this is the first time I've worked with you, John. I'm just logging this contact in QRZ. I'm just having a look, see if I've worked with you before. So the QRZ confirmation we say to you. And I think you're probably from Ireland originally, judging by the EI on the tail end of the call sign. But you don't appear to have a very distinct Irish accent, I have to say. I'm originally from the UK, but I've been here in New Zealand some 35 years now. Not bad for coming out on a limited time 2-year contract. I see that you're using a hex beam, lovely antenna. Wish I could put one up here, but don't have the space. So I'm just using a tiny little mini beam antenna. It's on a 5-foot boom, and the longest element is about 10 foot, and there's only 2 of those at the moment. But I hope to convert it to a 3-element, or at least have a director. And that's a project for the summer when the beam will have to come down and I'll have to rely on the other antenna, which is vertical. Been a lovely day here in New Zealand. Blue skies, and it was about 23 degrees, not the hottest. Over the weekend it was about 28. So we're still in the throes of getting into summer here in New Zealand. Back to you, John. Oscar November 8, Echo India in Belgium. This is ZL3ET.
Yeah, Roger, on that, Jeremy, all copied, super copy, and no interference from anyone on the left or right side of the scope. Yeah, I'm not sure where you saw the hex beam, but the hex beam was something from the past. But at the moment now, I'm using a 10-element 5-bander, and on this band, it's a Moxon. It's up about 14 meters above ground, and it's from OptiBeam, and the radio is an Anan 7000, and the amplifier comes from VK, from VK3 amp. So that's the station in short. I'm looking at the photos. They're really terrific. I particularly like Hamilton Gardens. Over.
Yeah, Hamilton Gardens. Well, that photo is a little bit overexposed, but hey, they've got a wonderful new website, and those gardens are forever increasing in size. Can you believe I think there's now 12 or is it 13 individual gardens. The one that you're looking at in the picture there is what they call the Italian garden. And then there's a Japanese garden and an Egyptian garden, and they're all about the same size. English country garden, you name it, they've got it there. And just Google Hamilton Gardens, and you can see some stunning photographs of the gardens, and part of them run along the Waikato River. So you can walk right into each of the gardens. It used to be free, but for people living outside of Hamilton, they've now instigated a charge. Probably high time, actually. They should have been charging years ago, because it is seriously a sight to behold. And my partner and I, we often go there. They've got a lovely cafe where you can have a nice lunch whilst overlooking a lake on the other side. It really is an absolutely stunning area, given the fact that many, many years ago, forgive me, I cannot quite remember how many years ago, but it used to be the municipal rubbish dump for Hamilton. And so the whole thing was developed on what used to be a rubbish dump. Can you believe it? It is, I tell you, just take a look at their website, and yeah, it's no wonder. I think they won an award it was voted best gardens in the world a few years back now. But as they develop it further and further, I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised if they pick up another award. Now, back to radio, where your station's doing a great job for you. I'm looking at the hex beam. It shows up on your QRZ page. I understand that you're using the Optibeam antenna, and that says it all, because every time I hear the word Optibeam, you know it's going to work and work well. I really wish I could put one of those up too, but once again, given the small amount of space that I'm working in, you'll realise why I'm using such a tiny antenna. But your signal report, John, you're certainly a lovely signal here into New Zealand. A solid 58 on the peaks 9. So 58, 59, you know how it goes on 20 metres. Back to you, after November 8, Echo India, from ZL3ET.
Yeah, very good, Jeremy. All copied and all noted. Yes, and you picked up on the Echo India. Yes, originally from Echo India, a place called Cork down in the south, which you will know by name. Not sure if you were ever there. And we moved up when I was about 12. My dad was in the military, and we moved up to Dublin, out to a place called Dunleary, which in the old days you could get the ferry from Dunleary over to Holyhead. But that's many years ago. And I was in New Zealand in 86. No, what? Let me think. No, it was 85. Yeah, September 85 to November 85. And I managed to go from Cape Reinga all the way to Stewart Island. Now, unfortunately, I didn't know, but I don't think the gardens were there then 40 years ago. But the problem with Hamilton, and you will know this, I would say a lot of tourists, they just go right through it, which or even bypass it, and that's what happened to me. And my next stop after Auckland was Taupo. Over.
Yeah, Roger. We did very well in your time here to go literally Cape Reinga right down to the South Island, and that would have been one heck of a trip. I've been all over New Zealand in my time here, as you can well imagine. And okay, on court. Yes, I know geographically exactly where it is, and I know the ferry across to Holyhead. Not that I've been on it, but I know of it, if that's the way to put it. So how long have you been in Belgium, over?
Yeah, Roger, I'm 30 years in Belgium, even a little bit more now. So I arrived in Belgium on the 6th of December, 93, over.
Okay, Roger. I arrived in New Zealand on the 1st of November, 1989. Strange, isn't it? How those sorts of dates stick in your mind. I only came out on a 2-year contract, and after 1.5 years, they asked me to stay. So I thought, certainly like it here, because of course, it doesn't, in winter time, it doesn't get, it's not dark at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it doesn't get dark at 3:30 in the afternoon. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, that sounds very good. But of course, like anything, it has changed rapidly, I'm sure, and got busy. But there is lots of lovely places you can go and get away from it all. I remember. I suppose they're still going. They're still in use. Well, I don't think the word is in use, but do they still exist? The dairies, over.
Yeah, Roger, yes, they certainly do. The dairies certainly do still exist. But here's the thing. There have been all sorts of attacks on dairy owners and hold-ups and people stealing all the stealable sorts of things, cigarettes and stuff like that. And there's been a lot of outcry and the government being pleaded with to get police back on the beat to stop all these sorts of goings on, ram raids and so on, also on dairies, to the point where a lot of them, particularly up in Auckland, for example, now have to have roller shutter doors and major steel bollards outside the entrances so that cars do not reverse into smash the windows and then they can run in and do a smash and grab. There's all sorts of stuff going on in dairies, and I think it was it last year, maybe the year before, some poor guy who was looking after a dairy for some relations of his, he came to New Zealand, I believe, from India, and he was actually killed in the dairy whilst tending and looking after the shop on behalf of the owners who'd gone on holiday, and that really caused a heck of a stir. So whilst the dairies throughout New Zealand still certainly exist, in certain areas of the country, it is quite sad to report that they've become somewhat of a target. Over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, it's a far cry from the New Zealand of 40 years ago. I'm sure there was bad things happening then, but it was a very peaceful place, and you wouldn't hear too much. I remember I was going into some business, and the phone system, I'm sure it's improved vastly now, but it had that the same thing we had in Ireland and the UK before that, and you had the A and B button on the phones. Over.
Yeah, that would be the story. But don't forget that the dial on the phone was completely reversed. Over.
Say that again. Over.
Yeah, the dial on the phone, going back to those days, it was reversed. So where the one was in back home in the UK, that would be a 0 in New Zealand. It was completely upside down. Over.
Yeah, so Roger, it sounds so apt. And another time, by the way, the other thing is I didn't travel by bus. I I managed to hitch. I hitched all those distances. Over.
Wow, that is, yeah, okay, understand it. Understand you completely. And people still come to New Zealand, fly into Auckland, head up north, and do exactly the same. People from all over the world. It's still a big destination for people doing that and coming in from overseas. And it really is a very multicultural society that we have here in New Zealand now. And personally, I think we're all the better for it. And everybody gets on mostly with everybody else, if you know what I mean, over.
Yeah, Roger. And another trip there, I was hitching, and I met up with this man, and he brought me back to the house, and I met the wife, and we talked, and I stayed overnight. But before, in the evening time, he got a phone call, and it was his boss, and his boss said, we have to go. He was talking to the man. He said, we have to go to New Plymouth tomorrow. But it was a great surprise for me because we went from Tauranga to New Plymouth on a light aircraft. Over.
Well, there's still light aircraft operated by Air New Zealand to the provinces, but you probably don't mean anything as big as that. You probably mean something a little smaller, over.
Yeah, Roger, a 4-seater, over.
Sorry, say again. There was just a static crash or something. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, that was a little private light aircraft, a 4-seater, over.
Roger. Yeah, well, that would have been quite something. You would have seen, you would have enjoyed the views if it was a clear day. But don't forget, New Zealand's called the land of the long white cloud, with good reason, over.
Yeah, Roger, and it was amazing. You could, we got up. It was a lovely clear day, and you could see the curvature of the earth. And then as we approached New Plymouth, you could see lovely Mount Egmont, over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I often try and work into Mount Egmont on VHF when VHF allows me to do so. But it's I don't think the VHF collinear is up high enough. I've hit the repeater once or twice only in my time here in Hamilton. But I think I need to get the collinear a little bit higher. The beam I'm using is about the same height as yours, actually, about 14 meters off the ground. The rest of the station here, by the way, it's an ICOM rig and an expert amplifier putting out an indicated 880 watts into the mini beam, and you can see a picture of that top right-hand corner of my QRZ page. John, it's been my pleasure talking to you, and especially all the way up there in Belgium, because the propagation of late seems to be a little bit questionable, but I just heard some EA Spanish stations further down the band, and I thought, wow, they're loud, and they were coming in at 5 and 9 plus here. I don't know why it's like a pipeline between Spain and Portugal to my location here in Hamilton, and I thought, well, I'll put out a CQ call, and thank you so much for coming back to it. Oscar November 8, Echo India. This is ZL3ET, over.
Yeah, very good. Okay, well, it's great speaking with you. Now, I just got one or two more questions. Yeah, I'm looking at the mini beam. Is that the one from Canada, over?
Yes, absolutely spot on, 100% correct. Made by a company, Tango Golf Mike, TGM. But hey, John, here's the thing. He hung up his boots about 2 years ago, and he retired, which is such a shame, because all the mini beams, because he only ever made mini beams, nothing bigger than what I've got, and all the mini beams, the whole range is now no longer available. And you'd probably appreciate, and I think you do by the sound of it, that back home in the UK, this size beam was really, really in demand and sold very, very well. I got one of the last conversion kits to add a director to it, but it's only one of the three main bands I use, 2015 and 10. I very much hope that will increase the front to back and maybe give me, half a dB of extra gain, over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, you see, the great thing about that mini beam, especially if you were in the UK, you could put it up on a pole like you have, and no one would bat an eyelid because you could just call it like a TV antenna, over.
Yeah, exactly right. It's like the old H pattern VHF antennas of old that are probably still on quite a few chimney pots back home in Ireland and the UK, and but obviously laid down horizontally. And you're exactly right. And so far so good. I seem to have got away from it, away with it here in New Zealand, is what I'm trying to say. Because where I live, people are a little bit precious about antennas in the sky, but I'm just within the allowable limitations according to the local council regulations. I'd love to put a Father Christmas and reindeer on top, over.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, that sounds like something to see. Yeah, well, going back to that Canadian beam, yeah, the problem is he hung up his boots, and I don't think you can contact him, and I don't think there was many spare parts, but they were terrific. There is really an opening for a beam like that. I have a pal of mine in Syracuse in New York, KD2DYY, and he has one now. I think it's out of commission at the moment, but he was unbelievable. We could hear him nearly every day, and a terrific signal. So anyway, it's coming up to 9:30 local time. I'm going to have another spin of the dial, but terrific speaking with you for the first time, Jeremy, and looking for more contacts, forward to more contacts in the future. So I'll put it back to you for a final, but you're a terrific signal in Belgium this morning. So ZL3ET ON8EI, Jeremy, over.
Yeah, 100% copy, John. Even though there's somebody calling in on top of you, whether to attract your attention or mine, I'm not quite sure. I'd appreciate it if that station could just hold on. I'm just finishing up with John here. Yeah, great to get you in the log, John. I've sent you a QR code confirmation, so you'll see that next time where you are logged in, because you've seen the picture of Hamilton Gardens, of course, forgetting already what we were talking about. But yeah, the spare parts with the TGM, well, the biggest single thing I've had one issue with, and it's only one to be fair, and it's been up for a few years now, the capacity hat, the little rods, but you can use welding rod if you lose one, but some of them are adjustable, amazingly made, a little bit fragile, but here's the thing, John, I can take it up to its maximum height where it is now, or because we live in quite a high area, so I've got a reasonable takeoff, not the best, but reasonable. I can, in the case of high winds, I can bring it down to about 8 meters in height, 6 or 7, 8 meters in height. So, yeah, I like the setup I've got, and it's got electric winches on it, so it's just a case of pressing the remote button and off she goes. With that, John, a great QSO, nice to get you in my log. I wish you and your family all the very best for Christmas and a very happy New Year to you all. Oscar November 8, Echo India from ZL3ET.
Yeah, Roger. Bye-bye, Jeremy. Till the next time. And 73's from Belgium, over.
Yeah, 73s, and thank you for your call. And QRZ, any other stations, this is Zulu Lima 3, Echo Tango, beaming towards Europe.